right. So January 6th is still not a thing. I know to some people it is, and some people, like me, see it for, I think, what it really is. You got a lot of bad actors in there doing some, climbing walls and pushing back barriers, but still not the insanity that we saw in the Summer of Love. But then at the same time, you got a lot of peaceful protesters. I'd say probably even more peaceful than the Summer of Love or several other protests that have been going on. But we looked at videos before where they're still walking in line with the stanchions. They're not all over the place until they get to their destination, to the floor there. And they didn't really set fires and break a whole bunch of stuff. I know they were all, my point is it's not as bad as the media and the left want you to believe it is. And they're going to show the absolute worst pictures from that and the best pictures of other things that can be contrasted with it. But it's not the same. It's not the same. But I know it's midterm season, election season, and people are trying to pick paths. So, let's take a look at a few things we got right here from NBC News. McConnell calls January 6th a violent insurrection. There wasn't much violence, if any. Okay, there's some pushing I saw, but it wasn't violence like we have seen over the Summer of Love for sure. Let's go on down again. Not going to read that tagline. Washington Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell disagreed Tuesday with the Republican National Committee's recent censure of two GOP lawmakers, as well as the characterization of the January 6th attack on Capitol Hill. We all were here. We saw what happened. It was a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power after a legitimately certified election from one administration to the next. That's what it was, McConnell told reporters at his weekly news conference. His remarks added to a backlash from Democrats and numerous Republicans after the RNC approved a resolution Friday accusing Representative Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger of participating in a Democrat-led persecution of ordinary citizens engaged in legitimate political discourse. A reference to January 6th committee, yada, yada, yada. I will say this, like I said, it wasn't all peaceful, not 100%. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, even though, maybe I lean to the right, I'm not going to sit here and defend them and say that, yeah, it was completely peaceful and whatnot. No, if they stole something, hold them accountable. If they push through a barrier, go get them. If they broke windows, if they demolished anything, if they, injured somebody, hold them 100% accountable. I'll say that for the right, the left, the black, the white, the up, the down, whatever. If somebody does something wrong, hold them accountable. If they don't. Most of these people that are being held right now, though, are for like trespassing. They're, as some people in the GOP and others have called it, political prisoners. And now you're starting to see someone push against that. I do agree with that, though, that there are more political prisoners from January 6th than there are from any of the other riots and protests or whatever that we've been having. And a lot of it is political. I disagree with that. If they were trespassing and that's all you've got them for, charge them with whatever, move on, or let them go. There's plenty of more people that you could get for other things, I'm sure. But yeah, some of the charges have just been ridiculous. I can't get on board with McConnell and the others 100%. And I also can't stay with a lot of those GOP guys is like, no, it was 100% peaceful. No, it wasn't. So again, like I said, I know I lean to the right on some things, but I try to see things. I try to see the world as it is. And this is not a black and white. There was a lot of gray area there. So, I think for the most part, they're overdoing it and it's not what they want it to be, but they're trying to push it for what it is. But at the same time, you have to openly admit that you can see with your own eyes that things went down that shouldn't have gone down. No doubt. Let's look at this next one. From the Hill, Capitol Police leadership betrayed officers on January 6th, union official says. Top police union official says U.S. Capitol Police leadership betrayed the force on January 6, 2021, when officers defended the building from a mob of Trump supporters seeking to overturn the 2020 election. Jim Pasco, the executive director of the Fraternal Order of Police, a union that includes U.S. Capitol Police officers, told Yahoo News' Skullduggery podcast that officers dispatched to defend the Capitol that day were not prepared when it came to equipment or information needed to manage the overwhelming and totally hostile force they were met with. Again, I don't think it was overly hostile. I think that's overplayed, but I did see some in some places. So at the same time, I don't know who was under prepared and over prepared or whatever, but that's a different perspective. I think you have your right, your left, your whatever, and hearing from the police themselves, that's great. I fully am on board with hearing from every side, the right, the left, the up, the down, the front, the back, like I've said before. And that's why I'm a big proponent for shows like Joe Rogan's to exist, for us to exist, and less into the big corporate backed mainstream media who has their agendas and their biases, just like we have our biases, but they're not, I don't think, as transparent as we are. Like I said, anything that I use as a link, video, whatever, links are going to be in the description below in the show notes here. But yeah, I like to read from multiple sources. We've got one later that I'm going to read from that is absolutely incorrect and biased, and it's coming from a mainstream media network. And I'll show you that one. So kind of good to hear from this side too. It's good to get it from all sides. So good on you guys for doing this article. Again, link in the description below. You can go read it some more there. I think we're going to keep going here. Okay, before we get here, let's check this out real quick.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
She meant blowing.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to...
Well, this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator.
All right, so I'll stop it there. I don't want to watch their whole video or play their whole video for you guys. It's 11 and a half minutes long. Now, this comes from Newsmax's YouTube channel here. And I wanted to pull it up from the video from YouTube directly so I can show you the comments on that too. It's just great. But I've got the link to this video in the description below. Check it out. I wanted to jump to this real quick because they keep trying to go after Trump supporters and all this inciting, and just continue to demonize him and his supporters, for inciting violence and everything. And this just goes on and on and on about how the left has done the same thing. It's hard to claim to be the party of the uniters, bringing folks together, while you're simultaneously, condemning folks and threatening folks and whatnot. But I think I still got pulled up. Yeah. Trump is the best president America's ever had. Trump is not going anywhere. All this drama actually makes him stronger. Yeah, it does. This clearly shows the depth of evil intent they carry in their hearts. Why aren't the Democrats held accountable for what they say? Imagine how they are telling their followers to fight, and not held accountable. There you go. These people have completely lost their minds. Everything they preach leads to bloodshed in one way or another. Great comments here. Check it out. But yeah, I'll say this too, man. You remember when everyone was wearing like the MAGA hats and people would come and knock them off their head or try to do some kind of assault to them or something like that? Let me be transparent. Not that it's not out there, but I have not seen any evidence of that happening on the other side. I don't see any Trump supporters doing, knocking hats off or vandalizing Biden stuff or Clinton stuff as it was in 2016, I guess. But plenty of people that were wearing MAGA hats or had Trump signs or flags, whatever, get their flags stolen, their signs stolen, their hats knocked off their heads. It's just really, really sad to see that on either side. But it really does seem to be one side pushing violence and threats over another side. But go check out that video. There's plenty more there. But we'll continue with this story here. From CNN Politics, North Carolina Elections Board says it has power to disqualify Representative Cawthorn from running over January 6th. So here we go again, still with January 6th. It says North Carolina State Board of Elections said on Monday that has the power to block GOP Rep. Madison Cawthorn from running for re-election over his role in the January 6th insurrection. What was his role? It doesn't ever say in here, so I had to pull it up. He spoke at a rally before the Capitol riot, but he calls the violence sickening. North Carolina's congressional delegation on Monday predictably took different sides on the new article of impeachment submitted by Democrats to Congress on Monday that accuses President Donald Trump of incitement of insurrection. The article is drawing support from more than 200 Democrats, lawmakers, yada, yada, yada. This is an older article because I'm trying to figure out what he said. Here we go. Is that him? What was his name? Cawthorn, right? Cawthorn. Madison Cawthorn. Yeah, don't know who that is. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Madison Cawthorn, the freshman GOP congressman from outside Asheville, was among those who spoke at the January 6th rally that preceded the riot at the Capitol. American patriotism will never be silenced. Honored to speak out in defense of the Constitution, he tweeted from the stage that day. In an interview Monday, Cawthorn expressed outrage and regret about what transpired, but said he won't support impeachment. I think we all have a lesson to learn, Cawthorn said. As the Bible says, a rudder can move a ship. Your tongue can affect great change. I was telling that crowd, I'm going to fight for you. Your voice is being heard. I'm going to affect change on your behalf. Well, that's your job. That's their job. That's what they do. And they're going to, fight like hell. And that doesn't mean violently. That just means they're going to go out there and do what it takes. And, God bless them. That's what we need them to do. And he was right. It wasn't an impeachable offense. He didn't incite the violence, I don't think, from the evidence that I have seen. And again, you can't go by the fight like hell, because he also said that you were going to go to the Capitol and peacefully and patriotically protest, voice our concerns, whatever. But he did say peacefully and patriotically, and then it turned into something else. So I guess Cawthorn, because he spoke at the rally, is possibly not going to be able to run. That's, if they can stop him for that, they can play political games for anybody, right, left, whatever, and that's very, very alarming there. So what do you think? You think that should be the case, or should he be able to run? Not that he can. No offense. I see that he's in a wheelchair. That may be a bad choice of words. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.